This is Ashley.
And Cindy.
And this is Life for Dummies.
Because we're real dumb.
You have no idea.
Like, really dumb.
I don't wanna give you up. I don't wanna give.
What's today?
Today we're going to talk about forgiveness.
Wow, that's really good. Tell me about it.
Well, it was so easy for me to forgive other people. But the hardest forgiveness I ever had to give was to myself.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah. Like, I lived this life where I was not proud of who I was or what I was doing. And I held a lot of that for a very long time and was really punishing myself and not forgiving myself, And the thing is like once you know better, you can do better. But I also have to forgive myself to release all of that so I can become the person that, my higher power has intended me to be.
Self-forgiveness is really hard. At least for me, because I want to kind of hold things against me, as if I should suffer some kind of crime because I was the one who caused the pain in people's lives or in my life. And it took me a long time to realize I deserve better. I deserve a life free from bondage. And the only way I could get there was through act of self-forgiveness and self-love.
Yeah, and it's not as though it's easy to forgive oneself, right? This is a very hard thing to do. But here's the thing, if you don't forgive yourself, you're holding yourself into this place where it's never going to get better. And you're never going to see yourself any different than you always have. So if I want better and I want to do better and I want to be better, then I have to forgive myself and let all of those things go. And just realize that I can't change the past, but what I can do now moving forward is what matters.
Something that really helps me with it is what we talk about, a living amends. Because I, in the past, hurt the lives of a lot of people in my active addiction. And in time and implementing these practices we talk about on this podcast, learned that I have a disease and I don't have a moral deficiency. So it's a brain disease, it's not a moral deficiency, and therefore I owe myself a little compassion. But at the same time, what about all the people who I harmed and brought harm to? And what helps me go to sleep at night today is realizing that today I make a living amends. As long as I'm doing the next right thing will happen, and I won't harm those people just for today. I won't bring that kind of harm to their lives, and so that's why it's referred to as living. I am living in a state of amendment.
That is absolutely correct. And like I just said, what matters is what I'm doing today. A hard part for me was living in this guilt and shame that surrounded me. It was like a dark cloud that hung over me for a very long time. And I had this wonderful woman in my life who truly loved me till I could love myself. And she let me know that it was okay. Was it okay what I did? No, it wasn't okay what I did. But it's okay what I'm doing today. And for that, you should give yourself some grace and forgive your past self. What would you say to your past self? What would you tell that hurt young lady that was doing all those things because she just didn't know what else to do?
I wrote a letter to my past self. That's how I moved through this process of forgiveness or self-forgiveness. I wrote an amend letter to her. I'm not the same person today, thank goodness. And also just knowing that it wasn't necessarily because she was such a bad person that she brought all of these problems into her life, right? It's both and. It wasn't everyone else's fault, and it wasn't entirely my fault, right? It was that I was putting myself in unhealthy situations, and therefore unhealthy things and traumatic things were happening to me. So it's the both and. And in that letter, I was able to ask for her forgiveness, and it helped me move forward with my new life.
Yeah, and that's what we want you to do. We want you to move forward in this new way of life where you change your perspective to change your life. And part of that is, forgiving yourself, forgiving your past self for the things that honestly, it seemed like a good solution at the time, right? And I just didn't have the tools. I wasn't equipped with ways and means to get through my life without harming myself and harming others. And now that I am, like you said, I make living amends on a daily basis. You know, I continue to do the next right thing. I don't harm myself anymore. I don't harm others, and at least not intentionally. And if I do harm someone, I have the awareness today to be able to go back and say, "Look, I'm sorry. I hurt you, and I'm amending my behavior so I don't continue to do so again."
The other thing that I realized when I learned about forgiveness and its positive impacts in my life is that a lot of the times in the beginning, I wanted to, again, punish myself for previous crimes that I thought I deserved punishment for, and I wanted to go around apologizing to everyone. And most of the time, it was out of manipulation. I wanted to apologize to people to save face. But they say you can't save your face and your ass at the same time, right? And honestly, today, it doesn't even matter. The people who I was thinking about back then were caught in that unhealthy world of addiction. And so it wasn't really about a need for forgiveness there. It was more I needed to remove myself and change as a person and grow in this hope and healthiness that I have today. And then, you know, as long as I don't return to those places, that's my living amends. I don't have to reach out to the drug dealer or whoever, right? And apologize for whatever the heck I brought into his or her life. Like, that is not what we're talking about in regard to forgiveness here. Today, forgiveness is either a state of living amends or self forgiveness so that we can live a peaceful life.
And that's it right there. I desire and I crave peace. And the only way I can remain in this peaceful, serene state that I'm in today and be calm and kind and caring is if I give others grace and I give myself grace. Because honestly, we're all just imperfect people here, right? We're just imperfect people doing the best we can with what we have. And some of us have more than others. Some of us have more tools that we utilize on a daily basis to get through the tough parts of life. And we have to just think to ourselves and, realize that, as long as I did the best I could that day or at that moment, then I really have nothing to feel guilty or shameful about. And forgiveness is this gift that I'm giving myself. Forgiveness, when I forgive myself, I am able to see the world in, like, honestly, I hate to say this, but rose colored glasses. Everything is much more beautiful. And I'm so much happier when I am in this state of, living amends and not holding grudges against myself and others.
A lot of the times I will want to beat myself up, right? Because I experience feelings of guilt and feelings of shame. And what I've learned is that feelings aren't facts. And so feelings are real, okay? But a lot of the times, feelings aren't facts in the sense that what I'm feeling and thinking, the thought being produced from that feeling, might not actually be true. I might have to decide whether or not I should accept that thought, right, into my life. If I'm feeling guilt and shame over something, and then the thought that is produced is I'm a bad person, I don't deserve good things, thoughts along those lines, that's a lie. Those are lies. And so we just gotta check ourselves, okay? A lot of the times, guilt and shame need not be produced in our minds and in our hearts.
I was just thinking, a big problem for me is I'll lay my head down at night to go to sleep, right? And my brain will be like, hey, remember that time in 2005 when you did this? And there's nothing I can do about that now, but I can start to feel guilt and shame over things that are long gone and happened, and there's nothing I can do now. And I just have to bring myself back to the person I am today. And when that negative self-talk happens, I have to combat that with some positive, right? I have to say, no, that's not true. It's a lie, like you said. But it's tricky because it lies to me in my own voice, and it's so easy to believe sometimes. And I just have to, sometimes I have to write it down in black and white and write down what I've done and who I have become and this a person that I am today, to realize that you're not that person anymore. You haven't been her for a very, very long time, and it's okay. And you can move forward, and you can love yourself enough to forgive yourself.
Something that Cindy and I talk about a lot of the times is go easy on yourself. And that's part of the process because, right, our disease will beat us up inside of our minds with negative thoughts, and it sounds like our voice. And so we just have to go real easy on ourselves. Some days more than others, right, Cindy?
Yeah, I always say be kind to yourself. Just be kind. And I say this often, but I would never talk to Ashley the way that I sometimes talk to myself. I would never say the things to anyone out loud that I am so quick to say to myself. And I am just so hard on myself. And this has been a long process to get to the point where I can stop, pause, take a breath like we talk about, and say kind things to myself. And say, you're not that person. You don't live like that anymore. You haven't been for her for a very long time. You gotta let it go.
So if you're listening or watching and you struggle with this same type of thing that Cindy and I have struggled with in the past, you struggle with loving yourself truly or forgiving yourself for past things that have happened that you wish hadn't happened, just know that Cindy and I are here for you. We love you, we understand, and we honestly, truly want what is best for you.
And if Ashley and I can do it, anybody can do it. Because like I say at the beginning of this, we're real dumb. And we have
real dumb.
We have overcome, and we have been able to attain this beautiful life today by following these principles of forgiveness, of living amends, of self-love, of being kind, of self-care. And you can do it too. It is attainable.
We love you
so much.
I don't wanna give you I don't wanna give you. You told me you wouldn't keep leaving, little baby, you sorry. You told me you wouldn't keep leaving, little baby, you sorry.